Welcome back, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for the 8th explainer in our Psychology of Happiness series, titled Satisfaction with Life, Meaning and Measurement. We're going to embark on a really deep dive today into the very foundation of human well-being. I mean, we all want a good life, right? But how do we actually know if we have one? Is it just a fleeting feeling? Or maybe a checklist of worldly accomplishments? Well, today we're going to break down exactly how modern researchers define, measure, and truly understand life satisfaction. By the end of this, you might just look at your own life and how you evaluate it in a completely different way.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, defining satisfaction with life. 2, components of subjective well-being. 3, the satisfaction with life scale. 4, variables across the lifespan. 5, policy, limitations, and research. And finally, number 6, the Indian yogic perspective.
Section 1, defining satisfaction with life, the cognitive judgment.
So I want to pose this question directly to you and take a second to really think about it. Is being satisfied the exact same thing as being happy? You know, we use these words interchangeably all the time in casual conversation. We'll say things like, I'm happy with my job, or I'm satisfied with my job. But in the psychology of happiness, these are actually two very distinct concepts. Let's look at why that difference is absolutely crucial to your overall well-being.
A great way to think about this is the weather versus the climate. Think of happiness as the emotional weather. It's joy, it's pleasure, it's a temporary affective state. It can be sunny and bright in the morning, and then totally stormy by the afternoon if you hit bad traffic or spill your coffee on your shirt. Life satisfaction, on the other hand, is the climate. It's a thoughtful evaluation. It's a highly stable, cognitive judgment about your life as a whole. You might have an incredibly stressful, exhausting day at work, so bad weather, but if that work is deeply meaningful to you and aligns with your long-term goals, your overall life satisfaction, your climate, remains highly positive.
Section 2, components of subjective well-being, the 3 pillars.
Pioneering researchers like Ed Diner realized pretty early on that we can't just measure a person's smile. We have to look at distinct emotional and cognitive parts. They found that subjective well-being consists of 3 major interlocking components. We have life satisfaction, which is that cognitive, evaluative piece we just talked about. Then we have positive affect, which is your emotional joy. And finally, negative affect, representing emotional sorrow. What's truly fascinating about human psychology is that these operate somewhat independently of each other. You can experience a period of temporary sorrow, acute grief, or just daily frustration, which translates to high negative affect, yet still maintain incredibly high life satisfaction. Why? Because the cognitive, reflective evaluation of your life's overall trajectory remains deeply grounded and positive.
So what actually determines that cognitive satisfaction in the first place? Well, health, income, and education are certainly foundational. I mean, let's be real. It's pretty hard to be satisfied if you can't meet your basic needs. But researchers like Diner and Martin Seligman found something vital. Very happy people almost universally have strong, satisfying social relationships. They spend less time alone and way more time deeply connected to others. Furthermore, psychologist Carol Ruff argued that dimensions like personal growth, self-acceptance, and purpose in life are the true bedrock of this evaluation. It is not just about material comfort. It's about finding deep meaning, even in the face of inevitable difficulties.
Now, you might be wondering, how does this fit in with quality of life? That brings us to a really crucial distinction. Quality of life, at least as defined by organizations like the World Health Organization, includes objective, physical, social, and environmental domains. It's about measurable infrastructure. We're talking great hospitals, high safety, excellent schools, and clean water. But life satisfaction, that is a purely subjective cognitive evaluation. A society can build you a perfectly safe neighborhood and give you a high objective quality of life, for sure. But subjective life satisfaction requires something the government simply cannot build for you: personal meaning, inner freedom, and relational trust.
Section 3, the satisfaction with life scale, measuring the intangible.
How do psychologists actually measure a subjective evaluation? Back in 1985, researchers created a brilliant solution called the Satisfaction with Life Scale, or SWLS. It's remarkably simple, just 5 items. I want to slow down here for a second. I want you to read these along with me and mentally score yourself on a scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree for each one. Ready? Number 1, in most ways, my life is close to my ideal. Number 2, the conditions of my life are excellent. Number 3, I am satisfied with my life. Number 4, so far I've gotten the important things I want in life. And number 5, if I could live my life over, I would change almost nothing. Notice carefully how none of these statements ask about your mood today or how much money you make. They ask you to evaluate your life entirely as a whole.
The real game changer with this scale is its ultimate flexibility. It's incredibly brief and easy to administer, yes, but more importantly, it assesses global satisfaction. It doesn't ask, hey, are you happy with your income, or are you happy with your physical health? It allows you to evaluate your life completely by your own personal standards. A high score means your reality matches your ideals, whatever they may be. A low score reveals a gap between what you currently have and what you expect out of your time on Earth. The researchers aren't imposing their values or societal benchmarks on you, they're asking you to apply your own.
To really grasp how this works, we have to separate specific domains from a global evaluation. Domains are specific areas of your existence, like your physical health, your family life, or your career trajectory. You might be incredibly satisfied with your family life, but totally frustrated with your career progress. Your global life satisfaction score isn't just some simple mathematical average of those two things. It depends entirely on the personal weight you assign to them. If being a parent is literally the most important thing in your universe, your global score might still be incredibly high despite being stuck in a terrible job. You are the architect of your own evaluation.
Section 4. Variables across the lifespan. Evolution of satisfaction.
The rules of this evaluation don't stay the same forever. In fact, our sources of satisfaction are highly dynamic. Let's trace this chronological journey of well-being. In Phase 1, our youth, our satisfaction is often inextricably tied to education, forming our core identity, and parental support. In Phase 2, adulthood, the goalposts shift entirely toward work, marriage, income generation, and personal autonomy. But look at Phase 3, old age. This reveals a famous paradox in psychology. Even as physical health objectively declines, many older adults maintain incredibly high life satisfaction. How? Well, they achieve this through masterful emotional regulation, cultivating deep wisdom, leaning heavily into family relationships, and finding spiritual peace. Well-being beautifully adapts as we age.
Our satisfaction is also deeply invisibly shaped by our culture. In individualistic societies, people base their life satisfaction heavily on personal achievement, inner emotional states, and individual self-esteem. The big question is, did I achieve my dream? On the flip side, in collectivistic societies, the evaluation leans much more on social norms, family harmony, and fulfilling relational duties. The big question there is, did I make my family proud? Now, neither perspective is right or wrong, but it means that measuring life satisfaction across the globe requires profound cultural sensitivity. You just can't use a purely individualistic lens to measure a collectivist's well-being, and vice versa.
So how does this cognitive evaluation tie into mental health? Well, they are closely related. Low satisfaction is frequently linked to stress and anxiety, and high satisfaction predicts massive resilience and optimism. But they are not identical. You can be deeply dissatisfied with the direction of your life without having a diagnosed mental disorder. But here is the absolutely most empowering part of the research. Life satisfaction isn't a fixed trait. Martin Seligman's positive psychology interventions have proven that exercises like practicing daily gratitude, actively utilizing your signature strengths, and engaging in acts of kindness can actually rewire and improve your cognitive evaluation of life over time. You can literally train your brain to recognize the good.
Section 5. Policy, limitations, and research. The macro view.
Let's zoom out for a second. How do governments actually use these psychological metrics in real-world social policy? Well, governments and global institutions are increasingly realizing that economic growth alone, just staring at GDP, does not guarantee satisfied, thriving citizens. Using life satisfaction surveys in public policy highlights the purely subjective side of national development. It helps leaders identify fundamental human needs that raw money just can't buy: social trust, political freedom, human dignity, and justice. Broadening the goals of national development ensures that our policies are actually targeting holistic human flourishing rather than just raw economic output.
But we have to talk about a profound limitation here: the sheer power of human adaptation. Sometimes this is called the hedonic treadmill. We are incredibly resilient creatures. Believe it or not, studies have shown that people who experience massive extreme events, like winning the lottery or suffering a severe accident, often return to their baseline level of life satisfaction after a period of time. Because of this, people living in very poor or oppressive conditions might eventually adapt and report moderate satisfaction. So, if a government only looks at subjective scores, it could inadvertently conceal real social injustice. That is precisely why subjective scales must always be paired with objective indicators of health, safety, and equality.
Section 6.
The Indian yogic perspective, Santosha and inner discipline.
We've talked extensively about modern Western metrics. Now, let's bridge that with ancient Eastern philosophical frameworks. Consider Santosha, a beautiful ancient yogic principle. Santosha translates to contentment, radical acceptance, and deep inner satisfaction. Importantly, it is not about laziness, apathy, or just giving up on your ambitions. Rather, it's the active achievement of freedom from excessive craving and the endless, exhausting cycle of social comparison. It beautifully complements modern psychology by emphasizing that stable, unshakable well-being doesn't just come from external successes or fulfilling every worldly desire. It comes from inner discipline, value-based living, and a deep-seated gratitude for what is in front of you right in this very moment. And this powerful quote brings our entire academic journey today together into one comprehensive summary. A complete understanding of life satisfaction requires integration of subjective well-being, quality of life, mental health, social relationships, cultural values, and spiritual meaning. Life satisfaction is never just a fleeting, "Oh, I feel happy today." It is the profound, deeply rooted judgment that your life is meaningful, valuable, and moving in a direction that honors your truest self. All the pieces of the puzzle, from Diner's cognitive scales to Riff's personal growth, all the way down to ancient yogic philosophy, build into this single spectacular picture of human thriving.
So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. When you evaluate the climate of your own life, what brings you true life satisfaction? Is it your relationships, your sense of purpose, or maybe your inner Santosha? I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts, so please let me know down in the comments. And if you found this explainer helpful in understanding the deeper psychology of your own well-being, please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a step in our journey through the human mind. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one.